again, today I'm going to show you how to get sentiments cut directly on ScanNCut. Big ones, small ones. This is one that I have that I absolutely love because it has this big U, which I usually use in front of my cards, on the front of the cards, and then inside we can use this little sentiment. So you make my life better, you are beautiful, you give best hugs, and there are like 20 of these small ones, so I use this on the front of the card, and then I use the small ones for the inside. But before I show you how to get this cut on ScanNCut, I'm giving you a very short lesson on how ScanNCut actually processes images, because this is going to help you a lot whenever you want to get images cut, sentiments cut, or even pattern papers, stamped images. I'm just going to show you this is how ScanNCut actually recognizes images. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to trick the machine. So let's get to it. Okay, so before I show you how to get these sentiments cut and the big one too, I want to explain to you first, because I believe that when we understand how this ScanNCut works, it will help you in any project that you have, anything that you want to cut. So I'm just going to turn around this page and I'm going to draw something here. Sorry, I'm not good at drawing, but it's just for explaining to you how it works. Let's see, I have, no, no, this is not a good example. Let's say I have a tree and I have this person here sitting, and gosh, I'm so bad at drawing. They're reading, someone is right here reading and sitting by the tree, and you want to cut this whole thing as one. Do you see that these lines here are not connected? What the only way that ScanNCut would cut this all together, and this can serve to, if you have any kind of pattern paper or any drawing that you need to cut, this is really helpful to understand. The only way that it would cut this together and not this person first and then the tree, and you see this here, even here that would be a problem. You would have to actually use a pencil like I'm using right now. You can, and that goes for pattern paper, for stamped images, anything. You would have to connect it yourself. So that's how ScanNCut sees lines. And these here, the only thing you would need to do, it would be just to connect it with a line, and then you would go back, of course, after the image was cut. You could just go back and erase that. That's one way of doing. The other way of doing that I actually use a lot with sentiments, because it works perfectly for sentiments, is to actually draw a line around the whole image. And this is what ScanNCut is going to see. So I would do something like this. For images like this, maybe not, but for sentiments, I do that a lot. Because what you're telling the machine is, okay, you are going to cut this whole thing. It's something very simple, sorry. It's very simple to do and very easy to do with any image or stamped image or even pattern paper. And it's really quick, and you can actually, because sometimes even the shape of the drawing is not perfect, and you can actually do the shape, whichever shape you want. And what you do, and I'm going to show you how to do this when we're already using the machine to cut and you already have transferred the image, I'm going to show you how to actually get rid of this line without needing at all to even erase it. What you're going to do there is, remember that I add many times when I get it cut, most of the times I always add a border, and I add a border when I'm there on the machine working directly on ScanNCut, and I add a border so it cuts and it has this white outline. You're going to do the same thing, except that it's going to be a negative border, because when you tell the machine cut around this line, you're going to say, yeah, but can you cut it with -4, which is going to tell the machine to cut here. See? That's what it means. And you would actually get rid of this border here that you drew without even having to erase it. All you need to do is to actually just give it a little distance, because it's going to cut inwards like this. You would actually cut here. So you need to give some space here. But that's just I just wanted to show you how Scan and Cut recognizes lines and shapes. Anyway, so here are some sentiments, and I'm going to show you how to get this cut. As I told you before, Scan and Cut understands lines that are connected. If you send this the way it is right now to Scan and Cut, the machine would cut every single letter separately. Who wants that, right? So here's a way to fix it. You can either, two ways to do this is, let me just close up a little bit so you can see better. There you go. You have two ways of doing this. You can either connect here. You would have to connect on the top and bottom here, and just do something like this and just go around if you want it really close like that. But I think that's a lot of trouble, and not it doesn't usually cut really well. It cuts well, but I think the distance, I don't like the shape it does sometimes, because it will depend on how you connected it. The best way for me, and that's how it works for me, is that I actually trace an outline around the whole thing like this. I think it's more practical, and I'm going to show you once we're there on Scan and Cut how to get this cut, and it won't even need to erase this line that you drew, because we're going to use, remember when I add a border to everything I cut, I usually add a zero point 0.4 border, white border around everything. We're going to do the same thing but negative, which actually what it does is it sends the cut inwards. So it's going to actually cut here inside the lines. So you don't even have to erase this afterwards. You're going to see, once we're there, you're going to see what I mean. So just give it a little bit of a distance here and outline. So I would just do something like this. It depends on how close you want. So this one, I think I'm overdoing it. It's maybe a little bit too far. So we can try, we'll learn together. We can try the 0.8 instead of 0.4. Okay. That's good enough. Okay, let's see how it does. But just remember, Scan and Cut, you always have to have lines connected, otherwise it will not cut. If you have this, it recognizes each shape differently. So that's how you cut sentiments. Let's go to the machine and I'll show you how to do it there, okay? So here we are on Scan and Cut now, looking at the screen. I already loaded my mat, and as you know, you do that by pressing this button here, but I wanted to save time. So what we're going to do is scan, direct cut, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to directly cut. We're going to save it on the machine for now. I'm going to change here because, as you see, it's 12 by 6, the scan area with this. That's something that I did before, and what this is going to do is to just scan the top part of the paper. I don't want that. I want the whole thing. So you go here and you change it to 12 by 12, and that will be fine. Black and white is perfect. We don't have any colors here, and it's much faster. So we're going to tell the machine, go ahead and scan everything, and then you're going to see the different ways in which this machine recognizes the sentiments. And then I'm going to show you how to get it cut. Okay, it has recognized. I'm just going to say okay. And see all this? This is all the dirt that you saw before on my mat. What you do is you just tell the machine that you zoom in, you just hold this button here, and this is how you tell the machine, this is the area that I want to work on. I don't need any of this because that's all dirt. Who needs that, right? So that's fine. So it's already processing, and yeah, that looks fine to me. You see the lines, but let's look close. Let's zoom in a little bit. See, that's what I wanted to show you. I'm going to zoom in even more, 400. See this? This is what the machine is going to do. It's going to cut every single letter here individually. This is something that I had before, so forget about this. But see, all the other ones are fixed. It actually has the outline, and that's where it's going to cut. I don't want the machine to go through this to cut everything. So I'm going to show you, and this is a technique that you can use in any project you have. When you have these little tiny things, something like this too, these will should disappear too. I'm going to show you how to ignore object size. This is when you have things like that, very tiny things that the machine is going to take a while to cut, and you don't want that. So actually what you do is, and look here, while I'm increasing the size, I'm telling the machine I don't want anything this height or this width to be cut, because I just don't want it to, it's a waste of time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep going up. See, the first time I did, this already disappeared. It's not going to cut this anymore, so good. But you don't want to go too high, because especially the height here, because our object is not very high. So what I do usually is I click here, because when you click here, you can actually change either one individually. See how I'm doing this? If this is not clicked, every time one moves, the other one goes with it. So I don't want that, because I just want to get rid of those. And if I go too high, it's going to erase this too, and we don't want that. We want the sentiment to be cut. So I'm just gonna keep going here. I think it already erased. Let's look. See, it's not marked anymore, so that's good enough. I'm not going higher. I'm gonna let it cut that. That's okay. So again, look at the U. Let's go. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see better. The two U's here. One I outlined, the other one I didn't. And see the O too? This one is going to cut every single letter. I don't want, who wants that, right? I'm going to try to get rid of this too. Oh, sorry about that. But anyway, here, let's look at the first one. What's going to happen with this O here is that since we didn't outline inside, it's not going to cut the whole inside. That's actually personal preference. I don't mind when it doesn't cut in the inside. I like it like that, so I just leave it. But if you wanted this cut, you would have to do the same thing. Just outline, just draw a line inside the O, and that would be fine. So that's okay. I am going to keep, yeah, I'm going to keep going here, increasing the height to see if I get rid of the U. But yeah, but it's not gonna work, because then it's gonna get rid of these little tiny ones too. So I'm just gonna let it cut, let the machine cut everything. I think it looks fine for me. I have all these outlined and it shows fine. So what I'm gonna say now is, oh, and here is what I told you before. Remember that I always click here to add a border. We're gonna do the same. But but here's the thing. If I do, okay, I'm going to show you how to add the border inwards. When I want a border on the outside of the image, if I wanted a white border here, I would keep going up. See how it becomes larger and wider and wider? I don't want that, because I think it's good enough the way it is. But if I were cutting just the U, I would probably go inwards a little bit. And the way to do that is do minus 1, -2, -3, just so you get rid of the line. And you can see that it's actually, it does change and shows you. You can't see really well, you can only see the U here. But I'm not going to do that for now. Maybe number 2 will work. Number 3, let's just do 1, -1, and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, it's just for you to learn how to do this. And then you go, please select, cut, and start. That's pretty fast, 1 minute. Let me just show you what it's doing. See how it's cutting the outline? It's gonna cut every single one with the outline. But you don't need to see the whole thing, but I'll just show you when it's done, okay? Okay, the machine finished its job, and let's see what it looks like. See this one? Cut every single, and sometimes you want that. It depends on what you're doing. If you want to, for example, play around with this U here and just and put it like this, place it like this on your project, that would be fine. Not a problem, but again, if you wanted this cut, you would actually have to draw a line inside. But that's the first one. Let's see the second one. Here it is. Beautiful. Very nice. And let's see the little tiny sentiments now. It does depend on how you draw. So see, they're very, very well cut. If you think, oh, I want to fix this, you just go with scissors and fix the way you want, but at least you have it cut. And it really does a really, really good job. Here it is. So let me show you that, and let me show you the U. The U, I didn't do a very good job stamping here, but that was my problem. Here you are.